Hey everyone, welcome back to the Thought Professor channel. Today we're diving into something that shapes every single one of us, whether we realize it or not. It's called attachment theory, and it's all about how your childhood affects your life. From the way you love, to how you handle stress, to the way you see yourself, it all traces back to those early years. Have you ever wondered why you pull away when people get too close? Or why you chase love that never stays? Why your relationships feel like cycles you can't break? The answer might be hiding in the very first few years of your life, in those quiet moments before you even knew who you were. This is the attachment theory, and it might just explain everything. Let's start with the basics. Attachment theory is an idea that came from a British psychologist named John Bowlby in the 1950s. He wanted to understand why some kids grow up feeling confident and secure, while others struggle with fear, mistrust, or loneliness. What he found was pretty incredible. The way we connect with our parents or caregivers as babies has a massive impact on how we live as adults. Think about it. When you were a tiny baby, you couldn't feed yourself, protect yourself, or even move around on your own. You relied on your parents for everything: food, warmth, safety, love. And those early interactions? They wire your brain to understand what relationships are supposed to feel like. Bowlby called this connection attachment, and he believed it's the foundation of how we form bonds for the rest of our lives. Children who had been separated from their mothers, even for short periods, showed signs of distress, withdrawal, or aggression. They weren't just reacting to being alone, they were reacting to something deeper, something that shaped their understanding of the world itself. Here's the big idea. The way your parents responded to you as a kid taught you what to expect from people. Did they comfort you when you cried? Did they make you feel safe? Or did they leave you feeling ignored, scared, or confused? Those early moments created a blueprint, a map that you carry into every friendship, romance, and even your relationship with yourself. But what exactly is attachment? It's more than just love. It's more than comfort. Attachment is the emotional glue between people. It's how we feel safe, how we trust, how we connect. And it starts before you even learn how to speak. Imagine a baby crying in the middle of the night. It's not hungry. It's not in pain. It just wants to know, will someone come? If someone does, if the baby is picked up, held, soothed, then a message is planted deep inside the child's mind. The world is safe. I am loved. People can be trusted. But if no one comes, or if the response is cold, angry, or inconsistent, a different message takes root. I am alone. I can't rely on anyone. Love isn't safe. This is how attachment styles are born. Now let's get into the juicy part. Researchers like John Bowlby and later Mary Ainsworth discovered that there are 4 main ways people attach to others, and these styles come straight from childhood. These are called attachment styles, and they are secure, anxious, avoidant, and disorganized. Let's begin with the first. Secure attachment. These are the lucky ones. They grew up with caregivers who were consistent, responsive, and warm. They learned that when they reached out, someone would reach back. As adults, they trust easily. They can love without fear. They don't chase or run from intimacy. They communicate. They forgive. They know that love doesn't have to hurt. Here's an example. Imagine a toddler playing at the park. She falls off the slide and starts crying. A securely attached child will look for her parents, run over, and get a big hug. She feels better, wipes her tears, and goes back to playing. Why? Because she trusts that her parents will always be there for her. That trust gives her confidence to explore the world. As adults, people with secure attachment are usually pretty good at relationships. They're comfortable with closeness, but they're also okay being on their own. They communicate well, they're not afraid to be vulnerable, and they don't freak out if someone needs a little space. They learned early on that love is reliable, so they carry that belief into their friendships, romances, and even their work life. But not everyone is this lucky. Next comes anxious attachment, also called preoccupied or ambivalent attachment. This one often forms when a child grows up with inconsistency. Sometimes the parent is loving, sometimes they're distant. The child never knows what to expect. So they become hyper-aware, always on alert, always seeking reassurance. As adults, they're the ones who text and then panic when there's no reply. They fear abandonment. They often love too hard, too fast, and too desperately. Their biggest fear is not being loved back. So they cling. They question. They overthink. Because deep down, their childhood taught them, love is unpredictable. I have to fight to keep it. Picture this. A little boy keeps calling for his mom while she's on the phone. Sometimes she smiles and picks him up, but other times she snaps and tells him to be quiet. He starts to feel confused. Will she love me today? Will she ignore me? To cope, he clings to her even more, desperate for reassurance. As adults, people with anxious attachment often crave closeness, sometimes too much. They might worry that their partner doesn't love them enough, even if everything's fine. They overthink texts, like, why hasn't he replied in 2 hours? Is he mad at me? They might come across as needy because they're terrified of being abandoned. Deep down, they're just looking for the security they didn't always get as a kid. Then there's avoidant attachment, the lone wolves. This often begins in households where emotions were ignored, dismissed, or punished. The child learns, I can't rely on anyone. I have to take care of myself. So they shut down. They stop crying. They stop reaching out. They build walls. Imagine a little girl who falls and scrapes her knee. She starts crying, but her dad says, stop crying, you're fine, go play. She learns that showing her feelings doesn't get her comfort. It gets her rejected. So she stops showing her feelings altogether. She builds a wall around her heart and decides, I don't need anyone. As adults, avoidant people often seem cold or distant in relationships. They value their independence above everything else. They might shy away from deep emotional talks, and if things get too close, they pull back. They might say things like, I'm better off alone, or I don't need all that mushy stuff. But deep down, they're protecting themselves from the hurt they felt as a kid. And finally, the most complex of them all, disorganized attachment. This often comes from trauma, abuse, neglect, or chaos. The child feels both love and fear from the same person. They're drawn to the caregiver, but also terrified of them. This creates a deep inner conflict. The person I need to feel safe is also the person who scares me. As adults, disorganized individuals may swing between anxious and avoidant. They crave love but fear intimacy. They want closeness but don't trust it. They often end up in toxic, confusing, or even abusive relationships, not because they want pain, but because pain was their first definition of love. Okay, so we've covered the 4 attachment styles. But how do they actually affect your life? Let's dig into that. First, let's talk about romantic relationships, because that's where attachment styles really shine, or cause chaos. If you're securely attached, you probably have healthy relationships. You're good at communicating, you trust your partner, and you're not afraid to be yourself. But if you're anxious, you might constantly worry that your partner will leave you. You might need a lot of reassurance, like asking, do you still love me? Even when they've already told you a million times. If you're avoidant, you might struggle to open up. Maybe your partner wants to talk about feelings, and you just shut down. You might even break up with someone as soon as things get too serious because closeness feels uncomfortable. And if you're disorganized, relationships can feel like a roller coaster. One day you're all in, the next day you're pushing your partner away because you're scared of getting hurt. But it's not just about romance. Attachment styles affect your friendships too. Secure people tend to have strong, trusting friendships. Anxious people might worry that their friends don't really like them, so they overcompensate by being overly generous or always saying yes. Avoidant people might keep friends at a distance. They're the ones who never share personal stuff, even with their closest buddies. And disorganized folks might struggle to maintain friendships at all, because they don't know how to trust. What about work? Yup, attachment styles show up there too. Secure people are usually confident and collaborative. They work well in teams and handle feedback like champs. Anxious people might seek a lot of approval from their boss, constantly asking, am I doing okay? Avoidant people might prefer working alone and get annoyed if they have to rely on others. And disorganized folks might struggle with authority figures, like bosses, because they remind them of unpredictable parents. Even your relationship with yourself is affected. Securely attached people tend to have good self-esteem. They feel worthy of love and respect. Anxious people might struggle with self-doubt, always wondering if they're enough. Avoidant people might seem confident, but it's often a mask. They don't let anyone close enough to challenge their self-image. And disorganized people might have a really hard time with self-worth, feeling both unworthy of love and terrified of rejection. Now here's the haunting part. Most of this happens before you turn 5 years old, before your brain is even fully formed, before you understand what love even means. And yet, these early interactions silently write the script for your entire emotional life. That breakup that left you shattered, the friendships that always fade, the lovers who seem perfect until they vanish. It might not be random. It might be your attachment style playing out again and again, like a ghost from your childhood haunting your adult relationships. But don't panic. This is not a life sentence. Attachment styles are adaptable. Your brain is plastic. Your patterns can change. But the first step is awareness. Ask yourself, do you chase love that runs away? Do you push people away when they get too close? Do you constantly doubt your worth in relationships? Do you feel safer alone than with someone? These aren't just quirks, they're clues. Clues to a deeper story. So how do we start healing? It begins with self-reflection, journaling, therapy, conversations that go beneath the surface. If you're anxious, learn to sit with discomfort without needing immediate reassurance. Remind yourself, I am safe even when I feel uncertain. If you're avoidant, practice vulnerability. Let people in. Tell yourself it's okay to need others. If you're disorganized, your journey may be more layered. But you're not broken. You just need safety, consistency, and the courage to trust again, slowly, gently. And if you're secure, be patient with those who aren't. You might be their safe place. You might be the first proof they ever get that love doesn't have to hurt. There's a saying, if you don't heal what hurts you, you'll bleed on people who didn't cut you. That's the tragedy of unhealed attachment wounds. We carry them into every room we walk into, every relationship we build. We think we're reacting to the present, but we're actually reliving the past. Your partner's silence isn't your mother's absence. Your friend's forgetfulness isn't your father's neglect. But your brain doesn't know that yet, until you teach it. The truth is, love isn't meant to feel like a battlefield. It's not supposed to be survival. It's not supposed to feel like begging for something you should have received as a child. The purpose of understanding attachment isn't to blame your parents, it's to reclaim your story. Because once you know where your patterns come from, you can stop living on autopilot. You can stop chasing the same heartbreak in different bodies. You can build new pathways in your brain, new beliefs, new love stories. And here's the beauty of it all. Even if your childhood was filled with absence, chaos, or pain, you can still create a different future. A future where you trust, where you receive love without fear, where you set boundaries without guilt, where your inner child no longer has to scream for attention, because they finally feel heard. Attachment theory doesn't just explain how we love, it explains how we live. Because every decision we make, who we trust, how we cope, what we fear, is filtered through that early lens of connection. And once you start seeing it, you can never unsee it. So the next time you feel abandoned, clingy, cold, or numb, pause, breathe, and ask yourself, whose voice is this really? Is it your adult self? Or is it the child who never got what they needed? Either way, you are not powerless. You are not stuck. You are not your trauma. You are the author now. And it's time to write a new chapter. Let's bring it all together. Attachment theory shows us that our childhood shapes how we love, trust, and connect with the world. Whether you're secure, anxious, avoidant, or disorganized, your attachment style isn't a life sentence, it's a starting point. With self-awareness, effort, and support, you can move toward a more secure way of living and loving. So take a moment to reflect. Which attachment style sounds like you? How has it shown up in your life? And what's one small step you can take to build healthier connections? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. I will be reading every single one. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the human mind. Next week, we're talking about how to break free from self-doubt, so hit that bell so you don't miss it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.